Hello learners, my name is Dr. Prateek Kumar. I am going to speak on agriculture in ancient India. This module is divided into 7 themes. The theme first is on the general introduction on the development of agriculture in ancient India. Theme second deals with some of the important writings on the agriculture of ancient India. Theme third and fourth particularly talk about the development of agriculture in prehistoric and Indus civilization. Theme fifth is extremely important as it discusses the development of agriculture based on the availability of literary sources. Here, Rig Veda becomes a major source of information on the early history of agriculture. Theme 6th and 7th highlight the importance of agricultural development between 6th century BC and 6th century AD. As we all know, agriculture is the foundation of civilizations across the world. For ages, agriculture has been the backbone of the Indian economy, as half of the population derives their livelihood by engaging themselves in various kind of agricultural activities. History also informs us that human beings have been responsible for the origin of agriculture, and the agriculture in the Indian subcontinent has made significant progress over a period of time. The history of agriculture from the Stone Age to biotechnological and genetic farming of 21st century is both interesting and complex to understand. The study of agriculture in India has not received much attention from historians and researchers in last few decades. The early writings on agriculture refrain from presenting agriculture as an important theme of Indian history and mainly focus on revenue administration and dynastic achievements. With the introduction of Marxist interpretation of history, agriculture became an appendage to feudalism in early medieval India. With the exceptions of some scholars who presented certain aspects of the history of agriculture in ancient India on the basis of indigenous sources. However, a systematic factual history of agriculture in India was presented for the first time by Dr. M.S. Randhawa during 1980 and 86 in 4 volumes published by the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, New Delhi. Its first part, the first volume of this book covers the ancient period up to 1200. The remaining volumes deal with the agriculture in medieval and modern period up to 1980. In 2008, Center for the Study in Civilizations, under a project on the history of Indian science, philosophy and culture, published a volume on the history of agriculture in India up to 1200 AD. This volume was edited by Lalanji Gopal and V.C. Srivastava. This is a very important book if one wants to know about the journey of the development of agriculture in ancient India. Once again, in 2018, Dilip K. Chakrabarty edited a book titled Economy, Agriculture, Craft and Trade, volume 2nd of the history of ancient India. The book discusses the economic aspect of ancient Indian history with a focus on agriculture, craft and guilds, trade, roots and archaeology. So this is again a very significant book edited by Dilip K. Chakrabarty. If we talk about agriculture in prehistoric India, the origin antiquity and source of it are hazy and controversial, and this is mainly because of the availability of sources. We do not have any literary source to understand the journey and progress of the history of agriculture in the prehistoric period. Fortunately, the development in the field of archaeology in last few decades have shaped our understanding of agriculture in prehistoric period based on the availability of archaeological remains. On the basis of the available archaeological evidences, it may be suggested that the Indian subcontinent had two regional centers for farming of cereals. The first was northwest with barley and wheat, and Vindhya Ganga region with rice cultivation. Mehergarh, a very important prehistoric site situated in the Kachi plain of Balochistan, Pakistan, near Bolan Pass, is one of the earliest known archaeological site providing evidence of the beginning of agriculture and settled life in Indian subcontinent. It has also yielded the evidence of wheat and barley production as early as 7000 BCE. The sites in the Vindhya Ganga region such as Koldiva, Mahagara, Chopani Mando, Imli Khurd, Lohardev, Sarai Nahar Rai and Jhusi, all in Uttar Pradesh, present day Uttar Pradesh I mean, Nahar and Chirand in present day Bihar, and Kunjhun in present day Madhya Pradesh have yielded the evidence of agriculture. It is a common view that wheat, barley and lentils are of Mediterranean origin. But we have evidence of cultivation of these cereals in the northwestern part of India, Indian subcontinent, in around the 7th millennium BC, and here I would like to mention about one very important site of Mehergarh. It appears that there was a smooth transition from a nomadic hunter-gatherer lifestyle to a more settled way of life in Neolithic period, and agriculture was possibly the outcome of this transition. We can have a glimpse of the ruins of houses at Mehergarh, situated in Balochistan. Next, when we talk about agriculture in Indus civilization, we have lot of archaeological informations available on it. The Indus civilization people had a well-developed agrarian system, as is evident from the discovery of granaries at Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. The excavation of granaries suggests that cereals were produced more than the daily consumption, and hence surpluses were safely preserved in the granaries to face any future emergency. To the south of the granary at Harappa stood a large platform with circular pits. The discovery of hay, husk, wheat and barley grains from within these circular pits, interpreted as a pit for threshing the grains. This is again a very clear evidence of agriculture coming from Indus civilization. The familiarity of the Indus people with plough cultivation is conclusively proved by the discovery of terracotta models of plough from Banwali in Haryana, Kalibangan in Rajasthan. The agricultural field bears clear furrow mark both vertically and horizontally. Once again, it tells us about the agricultural development in the Indus civilization. Wheat and barley are the main crops of the Indus civilization. Specimen of wheat and barley found in the ruins proved that they were not of wild species and were regularly cultivated. Other crops included dates, mustard and cotton. Indus people were the first to produce cotton in the world. Evidence of the cultivation of rice comes from Lothal and Rangpur in Gujarat. Rangpur is the only Harappan site from which rice husk has been discovered. Then again we can have a glimpse of granary discovered at Harappa, such an interesting feature of Harappan agriculture. When we talk about the development of agriculture in Vedic period, the theme under discussion becomes more important. The Vedic agriculture system was very enriched, and it is evident from the numerous textual references to different stages of cultivation, such as plowing, sowing, harvesting and threshing, etc. Vedic literature gives us a clear idea of developed agronomy. There are at least references to 20 occupations in the Rig Veda, and 2 of these are directly related to agriculture and animal husbandry, that is the plowman and herdsman. Agriculture was the basis of livelihood in Rig Vedic society and in later times. Agriculture is compared with sacrifice, so one can understand the importance of agriculture in Vedic period. When we compare agriculture with sacrifice, it means the most important activity during the Vedic period. Agriculture was associated with rituals in the Rig Veda and the later texts. For example, the Rig Vedic hymn was cited at the commencement of the plug. It mentions many agrarian deities such as Kshetrapati, the lord of field. The Rig Vedic people cultivated yava and dhan. Dhan in the Rig Veda means rice. Most of the Vedic scholars identified yava with barley. The plough was the main implement of agriculture during Vedic period, and it was known as Sira and Langal in the Vedic literature. There were significant development in agriculture in the age of later Samhitas. The Yajurved mentions 12 grains. These are Vrihi means rice, Yava means barley, Godhuma means wheat, Pryanganu means a kind of a small millet, Anu means another kind of millet, and Masur, lentil. Til, these are the significant grains mentioned in Yajurved. The later Vedic text referred to Yava means barley, sown in winter and harvested in summer, and is an indication of the fact that Vedic people were familiar with the cycle of season suiting a particular crop. A sukta of the Atharva Veda called the Vedic Farmer's Song very clearly describe the gradual process of agricultural operations. Similarly, a passage in the Shatapatha Brahman mentions the different processes of agriculture as plowing and sowing, threshing, tilling the plants, etc. The importance of agriculture is again proved when we find that in the Rasuya sacrifice, the priest proclaimed the monarchy of the king, saying, "O king, this estate is given to you for agriculture, for the common good and for the prosperity." This means that progress in agriculture was considered to be one of the prime duties of the king. This is how we can see the importance of agriculture in the later Vedic text. When we talk about agriculture in pre-Mauryan period, that is basically between 600 BC to 300 BC, and during these 3 centuries, agriculture witnessed many significant changes. Pali canonical text praise agriculture as one of the excellent profession, the other two being cattle rearing and trade. The Anguttara Nikaya shows a well cultivated tract with good quality of soil in which cultivator sowed seed. Panini's grammar clearly mentions the plough and differentiate between different types of soil or tract suited for a particular crop. A well plot was called Suhali, while one unfit for the tillage was known as Ahali, and these all terms are particularly coming from the Pali literature. All sources consider paddy as the principal crop during this period. However, apart from cereals like paddy, wheat and barley, sugarcane plantation is also mentioned by Panini. This further provided opportunities for producing molasses, which figure in the Pali canonical text. The importance of agriculture in this period is also attested by this fact that Buddha has prescribed the 3 main duties of a farmer. What are these duties? The first, to get the field well plowed. Second, to sow the seeds promptly. And third, to let the water in the field. These 3 are the important facts in context of the duties prescribed by the Lord Buddha. The Buddhist literature mentions vrihi, rice, tandul, a kind of rice, again barley, godhuma, which means wheat, and pulses as an important crop. Kautilya Arthashastra categorically divided village land in different categories. The 2 categories of land, that is basically cultivated and non-cultivated. In Arthashastra, the terms are used as Krista and Akrista. These 2 categories of land informs us about the agricultural activities supposed to be done on a particular piece of land. The same text writes rice, teal, pepper and saffron, etc. as important crops. The question of the use of iron technology as a single important factor in stimulating the agricultural surplus in Ganga Valley is a debatable issue, but iron plough have been reported from 4 important sites of Ropar in Haryana, Jakheda in Uttar Pradesh, Kaushambi in Uttar Pradesh and Vaishali in Bihar. These all indicate about the agricultural activities going during this particular time period. Agriculture in post-modern period, which is basically between 200 BC and 300 AD, is also an important subject of discussion. Like any other period of the history, the post-modern period in the history of ancient India had witnessed agricultural developments. Of the variety of crops, paddy was of course the most important. The Milind Panho shows an awareness for the crops consumed by various categories of people such as affluent people and the slaves, dasas. The same text contained information about 8 different stages of agricultural operation, right from removing weeds from the field to the final harvesting and winnowing of crops. Water was necessarily required for all agricultural related activities, and for this reason the king encouraged the construction of tank and well, that is basically kupa. Manu favors capital punishment to those who were accused of breaching a hydraulic project. So we can understand the importance of water and how the lawmakers, they consider any sort of dishonesty as a breach of trust. The production of sugarcane and cotton figure in Pliny's Naturalis Historia and the Periplus of Arabian Sea, or of the production of black pepper. The cultivator is presented as Kutambika, Halika and Krishaka in contemporary literature and inscription. So these are basically the terms used for cultivators. The spread of agriculture in newer regions and diversity of crop grown are clear sign of the prosperity of agriculture during modern period as well. Like any other period of the Indian history, the agriculture during Gupta period is also an important theme of discussion. Needless to emphasize that agriculture continues as a backbone of economy even during Gupta period. The most important crop was paddy. Kalidas, whose writings are important to understand this period, writes about the variety of rice produced, for example, Sali, Nivara, etc. He also suggests the plantation of sugarcane, especially in the region of Bengal. Amarkos, a text written by Amar Simha, mentions the production of crops like cotton, oilseed, indigo and mustard seeds. Amar Simha informs us that the far south was famous for the cultivation of areca and betel nuts. Diverse types of crops produced in this era suggest mature knowledge of agriculture and availability of different types of soils. The Amarkos enlists 12 types of soil such as Urvara, which is a fertile soil, Ushahara, which is a dry, and Aprahanta, which is untilled. 3 categories of soil mentioned in the primary text. Like northern India, southern India is also important. The history of agriculture in southern India could be gleaned from the variety of literary sources. Sangam literature composed during 300 BC to 300 AD is an important source for the development of, for understanding the development of agriculture in southern India. The Sangam literature speaks of Tinnai or 5 ecozones of Tamil Nadu, which are described as Kudanji, the hilly or forest region, which were arid zone, Mullai, the land for pasture with thin forest and grass. Then we have Marutam, the plain fertile land in the river valley, more suitable for agriculture, and Marutam was the most important ecozones among all the 5 zones mentioned in Sangam literature. Then we have 4th category of metal, then 5th is Pallai, the barren or arid area where storage of water was very low. These are the 5 different categories or 5 ecozones. It is important to note that rice and sugarcane were produced in Marutam. We have ample evidence to show that minor irrigational facilities like construction of small tanks, wells and small canals etc. were developed in the Maruttam zone to facilitate agricultural activities. In the text like Manai Meklai, we find a word Bural, which means that cultivator of the land was empowered to take loan on his cultivated lands. In Peram Panaru Pattai is a very important Sangam text. We find a vivid description of different farming operations like plowing, leveling, transplanting the paddy, weeding, harvesting, the threshing of crops by using cattle and of course winnowing etc. The main product of agriculture in the Sangam is were paddy, sugarcane, ragi and pulses etc. Oral tradition in South India, especially the folk song, drew heavily upon the images and metaphors of the plough. Both men and women sang while engaged in the task of irrigating the field, and this created the genre of folk music known as Tamangu. So, when we talk about the development of agriculture in southern India, we see number of agricultural developments. I mean, southern India is equally important to understand the process of agricultural developments. In conclusion, this discussion suggests us that farming in India dates back to the prehistoric period. There appeared to be a gradual transformation from hunting gathering to domestication of animals and cultivation of plants. Since its first appearance in the Neolithic period, agriculture in India has witnessed the gradual transformation and many significant changes. Advancement in any field depends on the long experience, and hence the agriculture in ancient India is pioneer of the modern agricultural system in India. This is how I conclude my presentation. For the further reference, I have given a list of books in the last slide, which I have mentioned here as a bibliography. So those students, learners who are interested in knowing about the development of agriculture further, they can consult a set of books like written by Lalanji Gopal and V.C. Srivastav, History of Agriculture in India up to 1200 AD. Then we have another important book by R.C. Majumdar, Ancient India, published in 1952. The same author has written another important book, The Age of Imperial Unity, published in 1952. And most important, M.S. Randhawa's book, A History of Agriculture in India, Volume 1, published by Indian Council of Agricultural Research in 1980. The first volume of this book deals with the history of agricultural development in ancient India. So once again, Randhawa's book is very important. Those who are interested in knowing the development of agriculture in southern India, they can definitely read K. Nilakantha Sastry, A Comprehensive History of India, Volume 2, published in 1956. Thank you so much. Namaste to all.